Have you ever experienced sexism in the workplace?
Yes.
Have you ever experienced sexism in the workplace?
Yes.
Have you ever experienced sexism in the workplace?
Yes, I have.
Have you experienced sexism in the workplace?
Yeah.
Have you ever experienced sexism in the workplace?
I'm sure that I have, although I think it's been mostly in a subtle nature, never really directly and obviously, but I believe that I have.
Though these women come from different backgrounds, different ages, races, careers, they've all experienced sexism in the workplace. This is because sexism is a systemic issue in the United States. This oppression is stratified by legislation and societal norms that go back hundreds of years and are continuously reinforced by our understanding of traditional gender roles. In order to understand the issues that these women face today, we must first understand the issues that women faced in the past to understand the evolution of sexism in the workplace.
You have recently become aware of gender discrimination occurring in the workplace, occurring in housing, and occurring in the use of public facilities. And you're wondering, what is all this talk about gender discrimination? First of all, before the 1960s, there really wasn't any legislation that prohibited gender discrimination. And again, as everyone knows, gender discrimination or sex discrimination is unfairly considering one's sex in making a determination as to employment or the use of public facilities or the ability to rent or own some type of housing. After the 1960s unrest, with the enactment of the Civil Rights Act of 1964, the creation of Title VII specifically prohibited sexual or gender discrimination in such things as employment opportunities, the ability to rent or own public housing, and or to use public facilities. Since then, there have been a number of other enactments by the federal government, such as the Equal Pay Act of 1963, and more recently, many states, municipalities, and counties have enacted their own versions and forms of gender discrimination laws.
What obstacles did you face as a woman that you wouldn't have had to if you were a man?
I don't know because I'm not a man. I've never been a man, but I assume it would be things like just having sort of that, the respect right off the bat and having maybe the opportunity to have my voice heard more if I had been male, I guess, in some situations. A lot of times as a woman, you're kind of considered cute or sweet and not necessarily taken seriously when other people who are maybe male or stronger females are taken more seriously.
What's your
I was a production manager at a potato chip factory here in Indianapolis. And we were going to start a third shift, and I was going to run the new pretzel line. And I needed a good operator lead person. So I went to our plant manager and suggested Doris. And he looked at me and said, "Do you mean you want that short, dumb, black woman as a lead operator?" And I was stunned. I said, "Yes." He said, "Well, you need to think about that." So I'll go back again. I said, "Look," I said, "she's qualified." I said, "I've worked with her. She can do the job." He said, "Look, you need to quit worrying about that and just worry about saving the whales." Honestly, that pissed me off. So I went back again. I just said to him, I said, "Look, I will not go to this shift unless Doris has the opportunity to have this, this job." And he said, "Well, you're going to take full responsibility." And I knew what that meant. I mean, it could have been my job, but this wasn't going to succeed. I thought, fine. So lo and behold, we started third shift. and it worked out beautifully. She was a great operator, a great lead person. I was extremely proud of her.
And I'm currently a second grade teacher. I have been teaching in public and private schools for about the last 25 years in Minnesota, Utah, and Hawaii. Fortunately, I haven't, as a whole, experienced sexism in the workplace. That could be primarily due to the fact that there are many women working in this profession at the lower grade levels. I do, however, remember a situation many years ago where an administrator approached a bunch of us ladies having lunch and casually began a conversation, put his hands on the shoulders of one of my colleagues and began massaging her while he talked to us casually. And it made my colleague and all of us feel very uncomfortable because it was a situation where there was a superior and a subordinate who felt she couldn't say anything about her discomfort with the situation. That fortunately is the only situation I can think of, and thank you for allowing me to share today.
And my first, I think, real experience with that, me being like completely aware of it, was this summer when some comments were made about, and it was in like an athletic environment. How should I phrase that?
Yeah,
an athletic environment, and someone referred to a girl being a great athlete because she played like a boy, and then I realized like that was definitely a sexist comment. Or when a supervisor said that they would cuss, but they weren't going to because me and the other woman were in the room. And I think that was the first time that I like realized it. And then once that happened, I think I started to read into other things a little more and always, be on my toes. Not that I felt uncomfortable every second or every day, but.
I remember mostly when I was younger and I was pregnant, and I was really afraid to tell my boss that I was pregnant, and my perception at the time was that he would think that I was not serious about work. And so I kind of kept it under wraps for a long time. Not, usually people do it because they're not sure if the pregnancy will keep it. Mostly for me, it was, I didn't know how to tell him because I thought it might affect my job.
I would say the greatest type of sexism that I think I've experienced is that if there were two qualified candidates for a job, of which I might have been one, I do think that because I am a working mom and had children while I was working, I think subtly the idea was that it would be better to give it to the man because I would want to be home with my children when I could be. Obviously, I was still working full time, but the jobs that I would be in line for would be travel jobs, and it was always sort of laid out that I wouldn't want to travel, which in fact I probably really didn't. But I think if I had still been the most qualified for the job and been offered the position, I then would have been at choice to decide whether I wanted to take it or not.
All around me are familiar faces, worn out places, worn out faces, bright and early for their daily races, going nowhere, going nowhere. And the tears are filling up their glasses, no expression, no expression. Hide my head, I wanna drown my sorrow, no tomorrow. And I find it kinda funny, find it kinda sad. The dreams in which I'm dying are the best I ever had. I find it hard to
I think my greatest advice would be to be yourself. Don't try to be anything different. Don't try to act more like a man. Don't try to think about what that looks like, because then you're not being authentic and genuine to who you are. And I think the more that women collectively behave in that way, the more we're going to just push the envelope forward to have better opportunities. And I hope that, someday, I don't know that it will be in my lifetime, but that it will no longer even be an issue of the fact that you are a woman trying to move further in a job position.
I would say that I think that regardless of these double standards that women are held to, I think what you need to do is you just need to put your best foot forward and compete, with your colleagues, men or women, and not be bogged down by these standards.
Never, ever, ever give up. Stand on your own 2 feet. Look them in the eye. Be as confident as you know you are, even if you may not think you are, and just take the bull by the horns and go after it, because if you don't, someone else behind you is going to take that job. So you've got to get it and go after it.
Experience, but I think I've, like, a lot of the women I work with set a very good example for, like, supporting other women. And I really love the Madeleine Albright quote, "There's a special place in hell for women who don't help other women." And I've been very lucky where, like, the highest level person in the office is a woman in both of my work environments right now. And I think that they set a very high bar for the level of work and the cultural environment of the office. Yeah. No, I think that's a very relevant question to this area right now, especially now that a lot of the tech industry is getting very involved with, sexism in the workplace, especially after the Google incident and the walkouts. And I think that there's, it's a responsibility of the people who have the power to, put a lot of pressure on, especially these huge organizations who have a lot of money, because unfortunately, money has a lot of power. So yeah, what to do to change the whole world? I don't know. It takes a lot to shift a culture, but I think it, it begins with everyone just being, having a safe and healthy work environment.
I am a woman. I deserve equality. #no ceilings.
I'm a woman and I deserve equality in the workplace. #no ceilings.
I am a woman and I deserve equality in the workplace. #no ceilings.